Welcome to Milo's Mods, ladies and gentlemen. So this is another episode of Blaster Chat. This is an international market report, specifically tariffs and what they mean to you. Now, most people in the community, in fact, I can guarantee all of us in the community are going to feel the Chinese tariffs a little differently, some more than others. Such as because companies like, I used to like Worker, it's a Chinese company, right? Same with ZWQ, same with XYL or KY Jelly or whatever it is, the uniform people. You know, same with X Shot, same with Dark Zone, the same with Hasbro products. They're all Chinese companies. All of our parts are made in China, whether they be worker magazines, darts, what have you, right? With the exception of a few. Now, right now, China and the United States are involved in a trade dispute. Okay, I'll use that word nicely. And I really don't get into political things like this, but my take on it is when people tariff somebody, the reason being is they're upset with them. Okay, and they want to get to talk to them. And so basically, a tariff's like a negotiation tool. What a tariff actually is it's a tax, from one country to another, stating, let's say you want to allow your stuff into my country. Well, on top of what the stuff costs the consumer, you got to pay me an extra blah, blah, blah percent. And the percentages could range anywhere from as little as 1% or 0%, all the way up to God knows whatever. I've seen ones that are 160%, at times. It just depends on what it is and, why it's all going down. Now, certain countries have it better off than others, such as Singapore. Okay, yes, Singapore. The reason being is Conrad's parts and blasters are all made in-house in Singapore. Whether they be parts for the Quinlan, the Harrier, the Seagull, or any of his blasters, they're all made in Singapore. His barrels are made in Singapore. His springs are made in Singapore. You see what I mean? Now, Singapore has a better relationship with the United States than China. Okay, they only have a 10% blanket tariff. And I confirmed this number with Conrad this morning. Okay. So, with all that being said, things from China are going to get expensive. Right? I'm not gonna lie to you, but they're not going to be terrible. It's not going to be gloom and doom. Right? I'm sorry, it's just not going to be that bad. People are saying some astronomical amounts, and I'll be honest with you, no, I'm not seeing it. It's not going to be as bad as what people say. Now, this is where being a prepared man helps you out in the long run. Okay, like me, myself, Ryan from Gims Mods, or Norman from Secondhand Blasters. We're all very well prepared individuals. We think ahead. Certain consumables you go through in this hobby a lot. Like for me, I go through springs, barrels, darts, lube, Teflon tape, things like that. You see what I mean? Okay? And scars or what have you. So, every year, at the beginning of the year, I order a couple thousand darts. I order a whole bunch of springs and a whole bunch of barrels. Okay? And that's going to last me throughout a year, maybe a little bit more than a year, depends on how much I have and how much I have left over at the end of the year. See what I mean? Well, I bought all my stuff before the tariffs hit. So I spent $15 on a box of darts instead of whatever it is now. You see what I mean? Now, some of the other things that are going to happen is that some things they may become harder to find or something like that, Some places like AK Blaster Mods, I'm sure their shipping is going to go up because they're a Chinese company as well. Again, it is what it is. Now, people in the community and all that, I'm sure, are stressing right now. I'm going to give you a free piece of advice when it comes to stress. And I've been in some very stressful situations in my life. You have to look at it this way, okay? Very simple. Can you physically change it by yourself? No. Is there anything you can do to help it along? Yeah. Is there anything that you can change to fix your situation with these tariffs yourself personally? No. So therefore, if it's out of your control, don't worry about it. Okay, I know that's a bad piece of advice, but if it's out of your control, don't worry about it, Because if you're gonna do that, then all you're gonna do is you're just gonna give yourself an ulcer. I'm serious. And I don't want to see a bunch of college kids running around with ulcers because that would be kind of funny. But nevertheless, that's just it. When it comes to tariffs, they're basically a negotiation tool. They want to get somebody to the table because somebody feels like they're being treated unfair. That's all. And tariffs go up, they go down all the time. The prices are not going to go up that much. I can pretty much guarantee you that. If they go up, they may go up like $1 or $2. That's it. Maybe some of the worker parts may go up or something like that. But as I said, that's Chinese product. You know what I mean? The same with the magazines. But the problem is with us, all of our blasters are made in China. All of our mags are made in China. You see what I mean? Now, if you're smart like I was and you ordered ahead of time because you just kind of had this feeling this was going to happen and you had all your tax money, you could have done that, but it is what it is. So what I suggest you people do is just be selective of your purchases. I am. I've always been selective of my purchases. If you notice, over the last year and a half, the videos have gotten fewer and far between. The reason being is I've been more selective of my purchases and what I pick up. I don't feel the need to buy everything or review everything. It is what it is. But certain things like darts, magazines, and stuff like that, you should have plenty of mags by now if you're in the community. You can also 3D print magazines if you want, but some of them are very temperamental. It just depends. As far as parts, if you're looking for parts for like the Quinlan or the Harrier or whatever, still you can order them from Singapore or through any of the United States distributors, and the prices have not gone up, and they will not go up, just because of the tariff situation between Singapore and the United States. They're basically at a 0 for 0 tariff, so it's good there, But that's just it. Tariffs are not. They're not doom and gloom. They're not the end of the world. Don't worry about it, people. Yes, some of the prices are going to go up, but it's not going to be that bad. All right. But in any event, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like it, to subscribe, and until next time, this is Miller's Mods signing off.